Hey guys,
Hey, welcome.
happy Tuesday.
Yeah, this is Leah,
I'm Sydney with the Tailored Realty team.
and we're going to talk to you today about investing. Just kind of a brief overview of how to get started in investing in real estate.
Yeah, so there are two types of ways you can invest in real estate. One is to buy a property and rent it out. So you can buy a multifamily property, rent the entire property out, or live in one unit. You can even buy a single family home and rent out other rooms of the property to kind of offset your mortgage a little bit. The second way is to buy a house to flip. So you're going to want to look for a home on the market that is under market value. Uh, Put money into it to fix it up and sell it for a higher value and make one large lump sum at the end. So those are the two ways you can invest in real estate. Leah is going to talk about how you can get involved in real estate investing.
Yeah, there's definitely lots of ways to get involved. One of the first steps, though, is always educating yourself on the market and identifying your financial goals. If you don't know what you want out of it, what you plan to get out of it, then you're maybe not going to get that out of it. So the first step is just to identify those financial goals that you might have. Because if you want monthly income, like a monthly cash flow, then maybe you do want to do rental properties, like Sydney said. Otherwise, if you want that big lump sum and then you want to keep rolling that into buying more properties to flip, and you don't necessarily need access to that short term or like liquid cash, then the flipping way might be the best way for you. Otherwise, there's also many other ways. Those are just the two main ones, and it always depends on what you want to do, what you want to get out of it. So another thing to keep in mind is if you have a certain skill that you can bring to the table. If you're really great at property management, then you're going to want to do something where you're managing properties, so you're going to be a landlord. If you're an experienced contractor or developer, then you're going to want to maybe renovate homes. It all just depends on where your skills lie and, again, where your financial goals are. So understanding this information helps you know where to focus those efforts and really figure out what you need to learn in order to start and what else you might need, what other resources. And then you'll want to start securing what sort of money that you need, whether that's saving or figuring out another way to secure capital, and then working with a real estate agent like us, where we can help you turn your goals into reality and really help you take that big step forward. So, Sydney, can you tell us how much money you can expect to make in real estate investing?
Yeah, so when you are renting out a property, you're going to make a little bit of money every month, hopefully. It's definitely not a get rich quick scheme in the rental game. Um, you are kind of in it for the long run. It's a long term investment, I think most would say. Um, some people like to rent out their properties for 5 or 10 years and then cash in at the end. That's a really good way to have someone else pay your mortgage and then just hopefully fix your property up as you go a little bit, maintain it, and then sell it for one large lump sum at the end. Uh, Another way is to flip houses, like we said before. There's always high risk, high reward when you're investing your money in anything. So flipping can be very profitable. You want to have a good team set up, a good contractor. You really want to know your numbers, and you're going to make one large return at the end and hopefully invest your return into the next flip. So, did you want to touch on anything else on that, or?
I think Sydney pretty much covered it. I mean, if you're doing the research that you need to do, like I said, then you're most likely going to invest in the market that makes the most sense for you. Just keep in mind that unexpected things can come up all the time. So the better team that you have, like Sydney said, and the better knowledge you have yourself, the better you're going to be able to overcome that. And essentially, you can scale it to whatever level you really want to do to make the money you want to make. So it's up to you. Um, And then another common question that people might have is, where should I buy? Like, what markets should I buy in? And all of that really, I mean, as a beginner real estate investor, you might want to consider investing close to you. There's lots of different markets and lots of different places that you can invest in, but the best way to learn what you're doing and make sure that you're there physically to meet with contractors or service providers or answer a maintenance call for your renters, things like that, is just to be near to where you are. Plus, you're already going to know those neighborhoods and that market just by living in it. You're going to be more familiar with it. And it's going to make a lot more sense when you're first starting out. So, what my husband and I did, we own a duplex and we live in one part and rent out the other. And that's our introduction into real estate investing. So, anytime the renters need anything, then they're just a short run up my stairs to go help, or I might already know the issues that the property might have. Like if there were a leak in the basement, I'd probably know first. So it's a lot easier when you're in close proximity to what you're investing in, and it's definitely what we would recommend. Otherwise, when you're ready to expand, definitely just make sure that you understand the markets that you're in and you contact real estate agents who know the markets as well so that they can help you through that. And it's not just a matter of choosing the right location, but also whether your property's in good condition and being sold for a good price. So all of those come into it as factors. And again, those are things your real estate agent can help you with. Mm-hmm. But Sydney, can you tell me when is a good time to buy real estate?
Yeah, so obviously you want to buy when you feel like the timing is right for you. It's most important to analyze the deal before you make a move on that. You want to make sure the numbers are right. You want to make sure that the property makes sense for your plan, and then it's giving you the proper cash flow. So, and a realtor can really help you determine if that property if that property meets your investment plan.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
So, Leah, how do I help ensure my investment is secure?
Yeah, the best advice, again, is just to do your research ahead of time. The most important thing to know is your numbers. So really figure out, okay, so this is my investment strategy that I'm planning to do, and this is what the numbers should look like. If you're doing a flip, you want to know how much money am I putting in to the rehab, and do the numbers still make sense once I've bought the property, invested this much money into it, plus probably a ton more because it's always more than you expect. And then am I still going to get the amount out of it when I sell it that I thought I would? So running those numbers and making sure they make sense. And same for things like rentals, where you'll make X amount of money per month and your mortgage is X amount plus the other things that you need to plan expenses that also occur down the road, which might be maintenance issues. The bigger things like your roof or your water heater, things like that can go out, and it's always eventually going to happen. So planning for expenses like that, in addition to your it's not just I make the money out of it that the renters are paying me minus my mortgage. It's not as simple as that. So you want to make sure you're accounting for things like vacancies and other stuff that might happen that really affects your cash flow. So once you do that, if you're making a good decision. So the best thing that we can tell you is to really just practice running your numbers, so that you know whether or not this is going to work for you, this strategy in general, and then you can really start to do it when you start looking for the property that you're going to invest in. So practice. It doesn't make perfect necessarily, but it gets you pretty close. So with this knowledge, you'll be able to avoid hopefully unwanted surprises. And same I should also mention that if you're getting an inspection on the property that you're going to buy, then you're also going to get a good idea from that inspector what sorts of maintenance issues might be upcoming with this property, what kind of expenses there might be just involved with maintaining the property. So those things are helpful to know too, to also avoid those unwanted expenses or surprises, and then potentially even negotiate for a lower price. But other than that, Sydney, what are some simple ways to increase the profits that you get out of your investment property?
Yeah, so it's important to set competitive pricing. So it's just like pricing a house. If you overprice it in the beginning, it's going to sit on the market. It's the same with rentals. You really want to compare your home to other homes that are being rented in the area and set the rent at an amount that makes sense and would be comparable to the other properties. It's worth it to ask a fair amount and have it rented out that month, rather than trying to get that higher amount that you're looking for and paying, missing out on a renter for a month and having to pay your whole mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
You also want to screen your tenants to minimize unpaid rent and property damage. Your tenants can actually really make or break a deal. You don't want to have bad tenants and have to, replace the carpet or patch holes in walls, or maybe you have a duplex and they make your other tenants mad and they want to get out of the lease. There's a lot of possibilities when you don't get the right tenant in there. So you really want to make sure you have good people in your properties. Another way to increase the profits is to stay on top of your maintenance to ensure that the property stays in tip-top shape and to avoid expensive repairs. So just like your car, you're going to want to get your oil changes on time to make sure that your car is staying healthy and you're not going to have to, replace the engine someday. Things like siding, like wood siding and wood floors. Wood is very high maintenance, so if you don't stay on top of those things, you're going to end up having to replace them in the end because wood needs to be painted or sanded to keep it nice. That's just one example. You also want to upgrade your property through renovations. So kitchens and bathrooms are very expensive to replace and renovate. If you do a total gut and renovation, that's really high dollar. So as you go, if you want to replace, the tub or the toilet, it's better to just maintain the bathroom and upgrade things throughout the cycle.
Yeah, and making sure that those things that you're upgrading to are going to last a long time. If you have a rental property, you want really durable things that are going to withstand like normal wear and tear. For instance, in my rental property, we've got that luxury vinyl plank flooring in the kitchen and bathroom because it's water resistant or waterproof, so you don't have to worry about spills and over time especially. And it's scratch resistant, so it's going to look nice for a really long time. So just making those upgrades that make the most sense. It doesn't have to be the most expensive. You just maybe don't want to do the most cheap because you might be replacing it sooner than later and way more often than you'd like.
Yeah. For rentals, you want to think long term. So what's gonna be the most efficient long term? So sometimes you might want to get a little bit more of an expensive product if it's gonna last 30 years than a cheap product that's gonna last 10 years.
Yeah, for sure. And especially if you have lots of rental properties, you might want to visit them less often because you're going to save yourself a lot of time. So yeah, definitely huge.
So Leah, how do I pay for a property?
Yeah, and I'd love to tell you about that, but really quick, I noticed that we have some people watching.
Oh.
Rebecca wants to know, do all townhouses allow rentals? And I just wanted to say quickly that no, not all townhouses or condos or anything with an HOA will allow rentals. You have to check your HOA agreement for that.
Your realtor should do that for you.
Yes. And you also want to just make sure that you understand the laws and things that go into the type of investing that you're doing. So if you have a rental, there's lots of fair market housing laws and other things that go into it. So that's definitely something to spend time researching as well, to make sure that you're doing it right and you're not going to cause any issues just by, you're going to lose your investment faster if that's the case. But thank you, Rebecca. That was a good question. And Nolan, thanks for watching. You wanted to know, how do I know if rentals are allowed at the property I'm buying? So again, that's checking the HOA rules if you're buying something within an HOA. But
most single families and multifamilies will allow rentals. If you're the owner, you kind of determine if you want to rent it out or not, because you don't have an HOA determining the rules for you.
Right. And if it's owner occupied, you have a little bit more leeway. You don't necessarily have to get the fire occupancy inspection and approval. But if you don't occupy the property yourself, you will need to get that. So it really depends on your city. So you can go to your city. Um, it's the like state statutes and stuff, and then you can go to specifically for your city as well. So I guess we could afterwards post some resources for Minneapolis and St. Paul just as a starter. But if you're looking for that information, definitely ask your real estate agent, ask one of us. We can definitely help you with that. But back to your question, Sydney.
Yeah.
You wanted to know, how do I pay for my investment property? So there are a number of options when it comes to financing your investment property. But again, it's going to depend on what works best for you and what you have access to at the moment. So the traditional method is just like buying a regular home. It's just to pay cash or to acquire a loan, or some combination of the two. So, but not everyone can qualify for that, for a conventional mortgage, because you might have to have a sufficient down payment, or you might already have a property and you might not be able to get another loan, meet certain requirements, things like that. So if you can't buy in cash, can't get a loan, then and don't have money for a down payment, then you'll need to get more creative. And there's definitely some different strategies that you can approach. So I'm just going to go over a couple briefly right now, starting with real estate partnerships. That's a great way to start investing before you're ready to do it by yourself. If you, like I said earlier, when you really know what skills you bring to the table, it helps you figure out your investing strategy. And then again, when you're picking a partner, you want to pick somebody who fills in the gaps that you don't. So if you are really good at property managing and analyzing deals, and your partner has money and good business sense, then maybe you'd make a really great partnership and you'll be able to invest together. And then that way you're not putting any of your own money in, but your partner is, and then you're both pulling money out when you get profits. So, and then you're figuring out the terms of that agreement together. So do we want to do a 50-50 split on the profits? Do we want to do 60-40, things like that? But it definitely varies for your situation, and it's definitely what you want out of it. So finding the right partner for you is definitely going to help you if you go that strategy route. Next is hard money or private money loans, which are alternative financing options. Typically, they're shorter term than your traditional financing. They might want you to pay it back within a year, or for hard money even in a few months. Hard money is giving you cash, whereas private money loans are very similar to regular loans, except that they won't come from a bank; they'll come from a private money lender. So these are both cases. They are typically higher fees and higher interest rates associated with them. So it technically costs more to borrow that money, but it might be the ticket that you need to get into real estate investment. And if the numbers work, again, if you run those numbers and it makes sense, then that might be the route to go. Another option is seller financing, which is when if a seller of a property owns that property outright, meaning they've paid 100% of the money back that they borrowed, they have 100% equity in the property, then they might agree to specific loan terms between you and them, and then they're essentially like your bank. So instead of paying a bank for a mortgage and making payments to that bank on a monthly basis, then you're making the monthly payments to the seller. So you negotiate those terms and the interest rate with the seller. And then typically those are different terms as well, where you're paying it back to them, the money back to them, within a shorter term than the 15 or 30-year mortgage that you might be used to seeing. Next is wholesaling, which is a whole big topic that you could really dive deep into if you really wanted to, but I'm just gonna, I guess, give you the definition, which is that wholesaling is when you find discounted properties. They might be distressed properties where the owner isn't able to pay the mortgage anymore, so they're going to go into foreclosure.
They're usually off market, right?
Typically off market deals and discounted. So you go find those deals and you get them under contract, and then you find a buyer and assign the contract to them. So and then the buyer gives you a fee out of that. So essentially they're paying you. The buyer's paying you to find them deals and bring them to them that they can buy off market typically. So that's really good if you have a big network of real estate agents that you know, or real estate investors that you know, one side or the other. It really helps that you have that those connections to work with wholesaling. Then finally, we have home equity loans, which is if you have a good amount of equity in your home, say you've paid off 50% of your mortgage, then you can typically get out a line of credit on that equity, which means that you are using your home to open a line of credit. So you can use that money to either put a down payment on a new house, or you can use that money to rehab the home or something like that. It's really a world of possibilities, and it just depends on what equity you have in your home and what sort of home equity line of credit that you can qualify for. So lots and lots of options. Really just get creative and talk to lenders. It always helps. But Sydney, can you tell me how an agent can help you when you're investing?
Yeah, so an agent can help you analyze the deal. They can send you comparable properties in that area to help you get an understanding of the value of the home that you're buying, or if you're flipping, the value that the flip is going to be when it's completed. So you really want to make sure that your agent is experienced in the investment world. Not all agents are created equally. Single family homes and investment properties are very different.
Mm-hmm.
So again, make sure your agent is experienced in that area. The first step in purchasing a property should be to find a realtor, because then we can refer you to a loan officer who can help you get an idea of what your financial plan should be. Maybe if you want to structure it with a team, they can help you with that, and so forth. But without an agent, it might take a little bit longer and be a little more rigorous process.
Yeah, for sure. Mike wants to know, by the way, thanks Mike for watching. Is it hard to find good deals in this market? No, if you have the right real estate agent, like Sydney said. Again, good deals depends on what you want out of it. So if you're trying to invest in flips, but you're not looking in the right areas, then you're going to have a hard time finding a deal. But if you're looking in the right areas, then you're already one step ahead. And then in addition to that, they're everywhere. It's really what you make out of it. If you're willing to negotiate, if you're willing to do some fix-ups that other people aren't willing to do, that can often help you find a deal. But essentially, it's just being ready to move really quickly, because the market moves really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And we give market updates on Taylor Tuesday once a month. So make sure you tune in for those if you really want to know how the market's going. And that definitely plays a role. But it's not hard to find good deals if you know what you're looking for, if your agent knows what you're looking for, and if you're working with that agent who can help you with your investment strategy. So many of us on our team invest and can really help with the nitty gritty. Yeah, absolutely. If you're new to it and it's a little scary, then reach out.
Yeah, so just to sum it up, anyone can invest in real estate. You just need a good plan. You need to know the numbers. If you own or occupy, that's a great way to get started. You need 3% down on a conventional loan, or 3.5% down for FHA. If you're not going to own or occupy, you're always going to need 20% down, but I would definitely talk to a loan officer about those numbers for sure.
And don't forget the creative financing strategies. There's definitely lots of options, but really practicing, educating yourself, learning, and working with the right people will get you 90% of the way, and the rest of it's up to you. So real estate investment is really what you make of it. And that's about it. I mean, that's the brief introduction, I guess. We could go into detail. Like I said, every Tuesday we're doing Taylor Tuesday videos, so make sure you tune in if you want more detail on each topic. If you leave questions in the comments, we'll get back to you, and then also we might use those as inspiration for future Taylor Tuesday videos. So
yeah, we could talk about this subject for hours,
forever.
But we just wanted to keep it brief today. We'll get into more real estate investing on another Taylor Tuesday. So
yeah, make sure you're following our page. Make sure you're following our agent pages, and we have an Instagram and a Facebook for our Taylor Realty team, and we have a giveaway.
Yes, enter in our November giveaway. It's a Thanksgiving meal.
Yes, it looks delicious. So win it and then share with us. But thank you for coming. Have a good Tuesday.
Bye.